All right. Hey, everyone. Thanks for joining the podcast. Today, I'm with Dhaliwal. So we're going to talk about the importance of fashion and why it's important to be fashionable. So I want to introduce him now.
How's it going, JD?
Good,
How
man.
are
How are
you?
you?
I'm good, good. Good to be here.
Thanks for joining. And I know you got that nice suit on. So thanks for showing what you got so far.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's great to be here.
So we're going to talk about the importance of fashion, how we can bring this in our lives, how we can bring it in clinic. And I've seen your work, your blog, and you have some really great content. And I think it'd be great to share with the audience. So
Yeah,
before
absolutely.
we kind of get into the topic, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, thanks for having me, and thanks for the introduction. I think you give me more words than I deserve with that. Yeah, so my name is Dhaliwal. I am a optometrist working in Canada. I'll kind of go to my backstory. I was born and raised in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. For most people that don't know where that is, unless you're from Canada, it's a city about 800,000 people. It's about an hour north of North Dakota. But I've also heard some Americans don't know where North Dakota is. So it's essentially the top corner of the Midwest, and it's about an hour north from there. So that's where I'm from. It's a medium-sized city out there. I'm probably the most proudest Winnipegger in the world, so that's why I have to give you all those facts about that. Yeah, born and raised out here. I lived here for 21 years of my life, and then I left for optometry school to Chicago at ICO. So I'm a proud alumni from ICO. I graduated with the class of 2019 last year, approaching our 1 year mark of officially being done school. And I spent some time out there. More things about myself. I'm a huge basketball fan, just like yourself. I'm a Laker fan for now, as being a LeBron fan at this time. It's sad that our season is kind of put on pause. Hopefully, just pause and not canceled. But huge sports fan. And then, of course, one of my biggest hobbies or things I care about is men's fashion. The way that kind of stuff happens.
So how did you have this passion for being fashionable? Have you always been fashionable? Is that something that started when you go into
Yeah,
clinic?
yeah. I think it's a long story. I'll make I won't go to the full deets, but I'll let you know. So essentially, I think what happened is it started off kind of an opposite way. It started off when I was a little bit younger, and this kind of relates back to when I was probably in middle school, and I was honestly a lot bigger. Okay, so I started caring about what I wore because I felt the insecurity that I had inside me of wanting to make sure that the clothing would make me look as lean as possible. And I chose clothing, and I paid particular attention to the fit of the clothing because I wanted to fit a certain way to make me look a certain way. And I think that's where it's kind of started up. And then I kept up with that, and I kept paying attention to those kind of details. And then, fortunately, I went through a change in my body in which I wanted to be healthier. And I made some changes in my lifestyle. But throughout that process, I kept up with it. I kept up with my care and, the way I dressed and the way it kind of showed. And slowly it started to transition from more for me trying to hide my body to actually wanting to care about how I dress and that side of it. And being that careful almost allowed it to become a part of me. And I think because I cared for it at a young age, it's something that allowed it to grow into being one of my characteristics. And I just kept caring about it. And, I always enjoyed dressing up, to be honest, like going to, I'm sure all these Indian weddings where you have to get dressed up all the time. It's a awesome time. And I look forward to those kind of things, wearing a dress shirt, wearing a tie. So it has been something in the back of my mind always that I really liked. But I think it really became a part of me because I cared for such a long time, even though it was for different reasons when I first started out. I think that part of it is something that it's kind of built into me. And something that I think really resonated with me, that back in the day, someone told me or said it to an audience that, 80% of feeling good is feeling that you look good. And I took that really to heart in the sense that I wanted to, feel good about myself. And I think, combining with my care for it and just like my passion behind it, it really, truly, like I said, became a part of me and something I look forward to every single day. And this is one thing that I absolutely I love, and I use it in my everyday life, and I'm thankful that I can. And being in a position in a career right now where I can use it as well too is super exciting for sure.
That's perfect. Thanks for sharing that background.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that's really important. I love hearing people's motivation to why they are so innovative. And I think that was a perfect segue to like my next question. How does that
yeah.
affect the way you are in clinic? How does it affect how you treat patients? It sounds like you have this confidence, right? And so how does that kind of affect you,
Yeah.
your career?
Absolutely. So, I think we got to take a step back and look at it in a broader sense. Visiting my optometrist, I kind of saw vibes in which I was like, this is a beautiful career in which you are in a lot of people are friendly and excited when they come visit us in the, optometry clinics. And, it's a positive environment. You kind of get the business side of things as well too. And I did a 100-hour volunteer program at the end of high school to see how it was like. And I absolutely loved it, every single moment of it. And I still tell that I guess a colleague of mine now that they're the reason why I'm in optometry now. But it's that part of being into a business side of it, but also being able to work and help others in a way that I enjoy in a positive environment that really drove me to optometry. And again, you see that multi-dimensional portion of our career in which you can own a business if you want. You can dress the way you want. You can provide care to patients in experience that you want. We all provide similar care level, but experience. And so everyone has different personalities. And what I wanted to do with my care, my fashion, is use my characteristic in changing my patient's experience, right? So I wanted to take my fashion sense and make it kind of a staple of my patient care experience. And that all comes back to, personal branding. I think a lot of doctors use their clinic and the way they run things to create their patient experience. But I do think that each individual also needs to take their personal characteristics and feed that into their patient experience, because it really allows you to be a genuine doctor. If you add your own characteristics and add your own kind of flavor per se to your exam, it leads to a memorable experience because you're being genuine, you're being yourself. And patients, truth be told, really notice that, and they notice that difference. And I think the ability to allow myself to, people harp on this all the time, but create a personal brand in myself. And for me, that's dressing up the way I want to dress. And it's appropriate for our clinic, first of all, which is nice, right? But, being able to dress the way I want to dress is something that I want to use in creating a personal brand for myself in optometry and creating a memorable experience. And it's not as simply as a direct, patient experience in which I offer a patient a coffee. That's something that's more of a direct patient experience exchange. This is more of an indirect patient experience in which I want to make sure I get to put myself into that experience. And that's how I've been using fashion.
What I love there is you said the reason you joined optometry, or what you like about the optometry office environment, is that it's a positive experience. And then,
Absolutely.
But I also love that you said is your motivation behind fashion is that it's a positive experience for you. And so
yes,
you're just trying to create that positive experience, whether it be from the moment they walk in the office, from the moment they see you, and
correct.
you continue that, right? And I think you want them, like you said, to build your brand. You want them to remember you for that. And that's what I'm curious, like, what kind of things have patients said to you when they see maybe outfit that they like, or I know on your blog you talk about your cufflinks, things like that. What are some of the things that people have said?
I think it's always nice when patients, notice the details, those small details, like you said, the cufflinks, right? Like, how are you going to notice the cuff on my wrist? But I've had patients notice it, and then they ask you where it's from, and you feel good sharing, other companies or whatever it might be. My cufflinks are actually from a local company in Canada, and I love to share that experience with them, right? So, I've had patients definitely, they do compliment your clothing, which is nice to hear. It's very humbling. I'm always grateful they do those things. But it's just something that, it shows that your character, your personality is really showing through you. And I think the beauty of it is when I'm able to do that, I feel like I'm building a connection with them, which I think is the biggest thing, right? You have your doctor, you have your patient. You got to find a way to bridge those two together to create a patient connection. And the beauty of it is it allows you to create a talking point, and it allows you to kind of divert away from the eyes for a moment, and you get to learn about your patient a little bit more. And I think that's something that I love every single day, to have a chat with my patients. It's probably why I fall behind schedule by a couple minutes every single day, because I chat too much, but it's a part of the game, right? And, you building that patient relationship, I think, has been the biggest benefit for me from, dressing the way I might dress.
I think that building that connection is dope. And I think it's awesome because what you're doing is you're building trust. And so even though you're stepping away from optometry, if you ever need your patient to take some drops for glaucoma, or follow up in a week for a medication, or listen to some sort of instruction, do your proper contact lens care, they're going to listen to you because you build that trust on the side. When they trust you as an individual, as a person, then they're going to trust your professional opinion.
Huge. And that's huge because you think about it this way, right? Like I said that, me dressing the way I dress doesn't directly impact my patient care. That's all the beauty that we learned in school and the knowledge that we gained, but it impacts my patient experience, right? And it's that patient experience that is going to drive, like you said, the trust. And that indirectly, you don't think about it that it's impacting my care, but it's indirectly impacting your care because that patient experience was enjoyable. They loved it, so they feel that trust in you, which then further enhances your patient care because they're going to listen to your advice. They're going to take you, come back for that follow-up visit. And those kind of things it's what really makes a big difference in how your patients enjoy that experience. And again, it all comes down to one thing: is you're being genuine to who you are, and you're incorporating your personal brand, or not even your personal brand, you're incorporating your personality into your care, which is, I think, the biggest thing and why I enjoy, taking this fashion side of things and incorporating it into my everyday life as an optometrist.
No, I think that's great. And I think it's only going to benefit you. And I think it's only going to get you to build more trust and to build your brand even further. And I think that's great.
Exactly.
If someone wanted to, let's say, I definitely want to step my game up after hearing all these, good advice. Like, what would you say to someone if they want to be more fashionable in clinic or whatever industry they're in, so they can build that trust with their patients, coworkers, whoever?
Yeah, easy. Just follow my brand. No, I'm just kidding. My blog. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just messing with you. So I think, it definitely, there's a number of things, for someone who wants to kind of increase or change their desire for fashion after listening to whatever it might be. Sometimes we get motivated, we get inspired, right? I think there's a few steps that people should definitely take. And, I mentioned some of these key things on my page sometimes as well too, but in a step by fashion, I think this is a great way to start. Is number one, the very first step that you need to do is you need to start with a desire, right? Just like anything else, you need to start with a desire for wanting to, I don't want to say make change or make improvements or kind of create what you want in your head, that image. You need to have that desire to want to do that. And I think that's a first step you need to do. Once you kind of start with that desire, you can go and start to look for inspiration. Create that image of what you want in your head and try to bring it to life, right? We always think of images in our head, we want to bring it to life. I don't have the beauty of the blessing to be able to draw, so I can't draw it. So I look for different inspirations out there. And, truth be told, my things that I would recommend to do is look at places like social media, right? Some of my inspiration people that I use is dapper.one, which is Joey Powers. Great blog, fashion blog on Instagram, and it shows you different suit combinations and different color combinations. And I look at those, right? Or, I look at something called Men with Class. That's another one that I look up. And before you know it, once you go to your Explore page, it's going to be filled with just different, outfits and all that kind of stuff. And just take pieces from those. See what you like, save it. And then go around, and when you're taking a look at products for yourself, use piece by piece and put together what you want to create. I also think that some of my biggest inspiration is my closest group of friends, right? All six of us kind of have always cared in the sense of how we dress and what we look forward to. I think, when we go to, like I said, the Indian weddings, we always have to take a bunch of group pictures. Probably take more pictures than the girls do, to be honest, at this point. But it's something that we all kind of talk about together. And, if we're thinking about purchasing, for example, a blazer, we'll say, hey guys, what's your thoughts on this? I always go back to my girlfriend, Jasmine, and let her make the final vote of confidence, of course. But, the inspiration is finding the inspiration one way or another is that second step. And then, the third step is going to be, change your mindset. I think this is probably the biggest obstacle for everybody. And once you do this, which this plays a role into just life in general, is care about what you think and not what others think, right? If in your mind you feel like you're confident in what you're doing, then that's the biggest thing you can do. And that works for everything, not just this whole dressing thing, right? Care about what you think and don't care about what others think, because that'll change your perspective on anything. And, sticking to just for this fashion example, as long as you are in your mind dressing and happy with the way you're dressing, then that's all that matters. It doesn't matter what other people think. All that matters is what you think. And because you're your biggest critic, like you're going to be the one that's going to notice that minor little thing that's, off about your beard or whatever it might be, right? Like the average person is not going to notice it, but you will, right? And that's why you're always your biggest critic. So you care, but don't care about what other people think. Number 4, as I was going to say, is don't be afraid to try new things, right? Change. A lot of people stick to just your color points that you use, your basic dressing color. So your blacks, your whites, your grays, but don't be afraid to add color. Don't be afraid to try new things. Don't be afraid to buy that different accessory. Just this past year, I just started wearing no-show socks with dress shoes and dress pants to clinic. Not in the winter time in Canada, but in the summertime for sure. And that's something I just tried, right? I said, you know what? I'm just going to try it, see how it goes. And I love it. I'm so excited for summer to come just so I could wear that, right? Something like white pants is not as, common as you'd expect it to be. But just try it. Just try it. See what happens. Don't be afraid. And that comes back to, care about what you think and not what everybody else thinks. And that'll allow you to kind of build that with you. Just try those different things and that's make a big difference for you, right? And then these last 2 points, I think, for anybody, if they take anything away from this, these last 2 points are by far the biggest thing for people. Is number one, fit over dollars. Everything comes down to fit, right? Someone who buys a $2,000 suit and then someone who buys a $90 suit, if that fit of that $90 suit is better than the fit of a $2,000 suit, it doesn't matter. That one's going to look better. There'll be people who have identical suits, and if, not even just suits, dress shirts, right? Pants, whatever it might be. If they have identical stuff, the one that fits better is going to look better. And that's what makes a huge difference. And I always tell people, it doesn't matter how much money you spend. Materials do matter to some extent when you start getting down to it, but the fit is the biggest thing, right? Save your money, get it tailored, get it fit properly, get those pants fit properly, get the dress shirt fit properly. That will make a huge difference in your wardrobe in that sense. And I think that's what I've kind of used to keep my, I'm still a new grad, so I keep my budget. I can't go and buy 5 suits. They're not cheap. So I try to make sure tailoring is the biggest thing. And then the final advice is definitely the biggest one is confidence. You have to have confidence. That's huge, right? Make sure when you're walking around, you have your chest out, your shoulders back, and you're walking with confidence. It doesn't matter how nice your fit is, how nice it looks, how bold you're using your suit. If you're walking with your shoulders slump and don't have that confidence, you won't look as strong and as powerful as you can. And I do think that confidence plays a role into a number of things. Confidence in yourself, right? Confidence in your work, and patience, confidence in you. I think, I forgot to mention this earlier, actually. Part of the reason why I do dress the way, why I care about dressing is because it installs confidence in me. When I see my patients, it installs confidence in myself when I'm treating them, and the ability that, I'm sitting there and I feel confident in myself the way I dress. That confidence kind of translates to my confidence in my work I do as well too. And I think that confidence factor is huge for me personally, in that inspires from the way I dress and that nature as well too. So I think if you take those kind of things, it's a great way to start. I know I always ramble on. I was like, don't get me started on talking because I won't stop. But those are the kind of big things to take away from that for sure.
You're not rambling, bro. You're just confident.
Love it.
That's totally great. I feel like I try myself to be fashionable too. I try to match my turban, my bugs with my pants, or fun colors, stuff like that. And
yeah,
confidence is the biggest thing. But I think your steps really gives us ability to be conscious. I don't think we're all conscious about relying on others to see them as guides or having our fit properly good. And so
absolutely.
I think these are steps, whether you're a guy or girl, that you can take to make sure that you build that confidence so that you can build rapport with your patients, your coworkers, whatever industry you're in. So I think that's great. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, absolutely. I got to ask you, so how do you get your turban colors involved in? What's your thought process in that level?
I would say for me, the motivation is like wearing a turban. Like I was on rotations, let's say in Florida, Tennessee, Arizona. These are more conservative states. And so like for me, it's like, how do I make this patient or person like me from the moment they see me? And so from there, I thought, obviously my faith, Sikhism is very important. And I was like, what if I try wearing flashy colors? Like maybe, like you said, try something different. So I would have salmon pants, or I'll wear like pink turbans, or I thought I would try like fun flashy colors where I would contrast my pants and my turban. And so I thought I'd give that a try with necessarily maybe sometimes wearing floral ties. And that really seemed to like start the conversation just when you're bringing a patient back or meeting someone for the first time, when you're walking back to your exam room. It was just, that's all we would talk about. And then like you said, from there, you build that trust. You kind of feel a little confident because maybe if you do make a mistake later on, the patient will be more understanding because they like you as an individual.
Absolutely. And like you said, you're coming back to it also, full circle. It's, you're using your confidence yourself to build that patient relationship, which is, I think, the overall message behind all this is, once you build that confidence in yourself in the way you feel comfortable, that really translates to it. And you've already done that, as you can hear from what you're saying.
But definitely these tips, like I definitely don't think necessarily I'm conscious about how the fit is doing every time,
Yeah,
how other people are doing it, or even trying things new. Sometimes I'm like, okay, I'm good. I don't need to innovate further, but there's always room to innovate. Like you're saying, even for yourself with the socks or white pants, those are definitely some
absolutely.
things, maybe I'll try.
Absolutely, absolutely. You gotta make sure you post the pictures on your Instagram so we can all leave our comments.
Exactly. So I think our listeners are going to really enjoy, what we talked about so far. If they want to keep up
Yeah,
with you in the future, how can they do that? And what should they do from here to kind of see where you're going?
absolutely. So, I think, I have my own personal social media page, which is, at Dapper Eye Doc. And a part of the name, the name behind that was actually, we'll bring it back to the multidimensional side of things. I want to create a brand that was more than just being a doctor, right? So I wanted to create a multidimensional level in which I was able to associate or incorporate my hobby, my passion, but also with the eye care, and create that personal identity that's not just an eye doctor on social media. I want to create that kind of building two worlds into one. So that's the name behind it. But they can find me on there. I did start a blog that I'm going to keep pushing on, and that's where they can follow kind of the more tips. And I try to keep them to about a minute read. So if everyone has a minute of their day, and try to not make it longer than that, and so that way it's a quick read for everybody, to use that as a source where I put more of my fashion inspired advice into there. And you can usually find that off my Instagram page as well too. The link is always available in my bio, and all the posts are typically on there as well too. So yeah, I started that back in I want to say October, and I did slow down for a bit, but this time off has really maybe helped me publish a lot, and there'll be a lot of more stuff coming on there.
I'll definitely, keep up with that too. And I encourage everybody to keep looking at that. There's
Yeah,
information from how to dress on casual Fridays to how to step up specific things like your cufflinks to
absolutely.
how you should dress from spring to fall, which I didn't even think about that was
Yeah,
something that was important and different. So like
yeah.
there's plenty of new innovating things going to be on there. So
Absolutely.
definitely keep up with that.
Thanks, man. I appreciate those kind of words. It's true. And I think the beauty behind it all is that I don't know everything. I still have a lot to learn, right? And as long as if I learn something new and I can share it, I think that's the most best thing that I can hope for is out there. So I'm glad that you're taking some points away from it for sure. There's a lot to learn, and I don't know everything. So don't expect it to be perfect, but I'll do my best to keep up as much as I can.
Nobody knows everything. And that's why I have this podcast so I can learn from people like you, honestly.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So if I had to give any summary for this talk, I would just say that it's important to build a patient rapport, patient trust with whoever you work in whatever industry. And you do that through fashion. It builds confidence for you. And
Absolutely.
the important steps that you kind of touched on were to find inspiration from others and rely on other people for guides, how to dress. You want to make sure you change the mindset in terms of, not necessarily, you have to have that balance. You want to rely on others, but at the same time, you want to
Correct.
be different, be innovative, and
Correct.
try new things and not
Correct.
be afraid if someone else might be against that. And finally,
Absolutely.
you said fit is one of the most important things, and you want to do this overall to build your confidence, right?
Exactly. Exactly. And then, I think that's, you hit it on the nail with that one, right? It's the message behind it all is, find a way to whatever it might be. If dressing up is not what you enjoy, there's nothing wrong with that. Find some kind of way to personalize something in which you enjoy about yourself into your career, whether that be, an optometry, whether that be in a business profession, whether that be in other healthcare aids, whether that be in, construction, whatever it might be. I think if you can find a way to add a personality trait that you truly enjoy, it makes your patient experience more genuine. It makes you kind of bring out yourself into that experience, which overall, it really helps you create, at the end of the day, it makes a better patient experience for the patient, and you enjoy what you do more so. And I look forward every day to dress up for work. So it's something I wake up in the morning excited to do.
That's awesome, man. Thanks for giving those tips and thanks for
Yeah.
joining the podcast.